Subscribe and like this video, more interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon.
My name is Meryl. I'm 73. Once upon a time, many years ago, my name was a key. Doors opened by themselves, people stood up at my entrance. The phone rang every hour, every call an opportunity, every contact an asset. And today I'm a shadow. I live on the northern outskirts of the city, where the windows are dimmed by time, where the sidewalks crack with indifference. My house is old brick, a peeling facade and a yard that still holds its shape only because I sweep the dust every morning, even though I know no one will come. My son is the CEO of the company I helped him create. My daughter is a psychologist from a TV show. Their voices are now heard only in on-screen interviews. They don't call me. And if they do, it's on official dates. Their hugs are cold, like a damp wall in a basement. And they're always in a hurry. It's like being in the presence of an old object that no one needs anymore, but it's still embarrassing to throw away. My granddaughter, I only see her in photos on social media. She used to sit on my lap and ask for another bedtime story. Now she's studying marketing in London and doesn't remember how I sold my watch to pay for her plane ticket. They don't notice me in the store. I can stand there with a banknote outstretched until the cashier says, "Grandpa, stand aside." In the hospital, they examine me as if I've already half disappeared. "What's he mumbling over there?" the nurse asks. I hear everything. I'm just silent. My days are like a recurring dream. Tea with lemon. An old blanket. A notebook. A TV with no sound. And the silence, a silence so thick that sometimes it seems like it's breathing. But it's not just loneliness. It's weathering. As if there's less of you every day, not only in the world, but also in myself. I walk past the mirror, and I don't recognize the person in front of me. I remember who I was. And it's all the more terrifying to see who I've become. But I haven't disappeared. Something still lives in me. A small fire. A thread of heat deep under the ashes. Something that doesn't want to die. I started writing down the days in a notebook. Not just events, reactions. Gestures. Facial expressions. When my grandson sneered. When my son pursed his lips in irritation. When the doctor rolled his eyes. I no longer explain. I no longer ask. I simply record. Resentment is not anger. It's a stone. Hard, cold. And I carry it within me. And it gets heavier every day. I no longer wait. But I remember. And perhaps memory is my most dangerous weapon. I wasn't always a shadow. I used to walk, leaving a mark behind me. Heavy, clear, tangible. I looked people in the eyes, and they lowered theirs. Not out of fear, out of respect. I didn't shout, I didn't threaten. But when I spoke, the room froze. The 90s. Chaos. The country was cracking at the seams. People were fleeing the ship like rats, taking out furniture, taking out money, taking out conscience. And I stood. I held on. My business started with will. I was 40 then, and every hryvnia was chosen. Not stolen, not given, earned. I saved my family not metaphorically. I saved them from debt, from street madness, from hunger. When my partner betrayed me and stole almost everything, I didn't despair. I didn't know how to give up. I gathered the remnants of people I could rely on. I bet on honesty when everyone else was betting on fraud. And I won. I paid for education. For treatment. For the future. Everything my own. And someone else's. I was the one called when everything was going to hell. I made the decisions. I showed the direction. I gave others confidence. Because I never doubted myself. I remember the moment when I was offered to become a deputy. Formally, as they said. And I refused. Because I didn't want formality. I wanted reality. I wanted to build, not cover up schemes. I was a warrior without a sword. A strategist without an epaulette. A samurai without a master. True only to my own principles. I believed that good comes back. That love, care, sacrifice do not disappear into the void. I was wrong. My son today doesn't remember how I sat up at night with a calculator, counting every penny so that it would be enough for his studies abroad. My daughter doesn't remember me arriving in the middle of the night, crying after her husband cheated on her. My granddaughter doesn't even know what color ice cream she and I bought every Sunday. But I remember. Everything. Every night. Every step. Every, thank you, that was never said. I remember. And today, when my phone goes silent for days, when my name means nothing, I realize a terrible thing. They didn't just forget who I am. They decided that I no longer exist. That I am a page to be turned. But some pages cut your fingers. The story isn't over yet. It's just that no one reads further. For now. Pain is not always a blow. It is not always a tragedy. The sharpest pain is in the little things. In millimeters of contempt, in grams of arrogance. In the small cuts of daily indifference. I dialed my son's number a few days ago. I just wanted to hear his voice. Without asking, without demanding. But on the second ring, the answering machine turned on. I left a message. Hello, it's Dad. I just wanted to. And stopped. Because I didn't know what I wanted. After a few seconds, I pressed reset. He didn't call back. Yesterday I asked my grandson to help me set up the TV. He came with the phone in his hands, still wearing his headphones. 2 minutes later, he rolled his eyes, said, "Grandpa, what are you? Do you live in a cave?" And left. The door clicked softly behind him. The TV is still silent. But I don't touch the remote. Let it be. I sat in line at the hospital in the morning. The sick, the old, the tired. I, as always, politely, with a folder of documents. When I entered the office, the doctor did not raise his head. "Who are you?" "Meryl Vasilyevic. I am registered for, oh yes. Grandpa has arrived. Let's hurry, there is no time." And then, already turning to the nurse, he grumbled, "Take the old man away. He still doesn't hear anything, doesn't understand." I heard. I heard everything. And I wrote it down. The name on the badge is Kozyar. 1420 Tuesday. In the supermarket I dropped a bag of apples. It just burst. People walked past. 2 of them laughed. One woman, about 30, muttered, "And why do they walk by themselves?" I picked the apples slowly. Carefully. Like dignity from the dirt. All these scenes are trifles, you say? I thought the same way. Once. But now I understand. These are not coincidences. This is a system. A sophisticated repression. Instead of a door, a look at the floor. Instead of a conversation, a quick, "That's it, I'm gone." Instead of compassion, procedural indifference. I write. Every day. In an old notebook, with a worn cover. I write not just facts. I record patterns. Who, when, how. Not out of revenge, not yet. Out of archival instinct. Because when the moment comes, I won't forget. Some collect stamps. Others collect coins. I collect manifestations of human nature. And pain is my catalog. I no longer believe in coincidence. Pain is a plan. And I study it in detail. It didn't happen loudly. Not like an explosion. But quietly. Like the click of a lock that they couldn't open for a long time. It was windy. I was returning from the store slowly, because my joints no longer obeyed, as they used to. The packages weighed more than I expected. 1 tore cans, bread, apples rolled across the asphalt. People walked by. Someone raised a camera. And I heard it, but this is an old man no one needs. He also stinks of old age. I fell. Not because of my leg. Not because of my weight. But because those words hit right in the center where the last spark of dignity still smoldered. I was lying on the sidewalk, facing the concrete, and I didn't feel any pain. Physically, no. But something inside me clicked. The silence inside became different. Colder. Thicker. Not like fatigue, like a taut string. I got up. Slowly. Without help. I wiped my hands. I picked up everything. And didn't look back. At home, I went to the living room. I pushed aside the old wardrobe. Behind it was a safe. I still remembered the combination with my fingers. There was a notebook in a leather cover, an old push-button telephone with a 7-digit number that no one knew. Folders. Photos. Printouts. Archives. I named them so many years ago. I opened the first page of the notebook. He who forgets the past will become its hostage. And I remember. I found the contacts of those whom I had once lifted from the swamp, saved from bankruptcy, protected from the law. Those who disappeared when I became uninteresting. But debt is a long thing. And fire is a slow thing. Each of them owes something. Some to me. Some to themselves. I will simply remind you. Because I remembered who I was. And I remembered what I was capable of. I knew how to see weakness where others saw strength. I knew how to push on knots where everything seemed strong. I knew how to control people, even when they thought they were controlling me. And the game began again. Not revenge. No. The word, revenge, sounds too emotional. And I no longer have emotions. There is only precision. This is the restoration of justice. The architecture of the fall. I am no longer a grandfather in a plaid. I am a shadow in the corridor of someone else's fear. The sun fell first. He didn't understand where it started. No one understood. Everything looked like a coincidence, an internal audit, an anonymous leak, numbers that didn't add up. A few failed projects, a sudden loss of the board's trust, a quiet but final removal. He left the office where I had once put him in the chair, thinking that I had gotten there myself. And I just sent a short message from an unknown number. Your body language in betrayal hasn't changed. 1998, I remember. Then, the grandson. His world is a show. Contracts signed in clubs, selfies with investors, empty words about brand values. But I knew where he had signed documents without reading them, trusting names that had feared me 10 years ago. A week later he was kicked out of the accelerator. A video of him mocking old grandfathers who never understood the market went viral. Companies canceled meetings. The contract fell through. Reputation evaporated. And I wrote in a notebook, "Your arrogance is your weakest point. 2021, I haven't forgotten." I checked every move to the millimeter. I didn't take revenge directly. I just held up a mirror. I pointed. I hinted. I created circumstances in which they saw themselves, the real ones. Those who once considered me unnecessary began to contact me again. Old partners, new directors. But I remained silent. I became a legend who no longer answers the phone. There is tension in the house. First, short calls. Then, long messages. Then, a knock on the door. I don't open it. Silence has become my body. My weapon. My language. Now they fear silence more than words. They feel me in every failure. But they don't see me. They remember my phrases. But they don't know if I'm watching them. They whisper my name not as a relative. Like a ghost. I'm not their enemy. I'm their test. Their trial. Their awakening. And I'm not done yet. They are sitting across from me. Son, daughter, grandchildren. As if in confession. As if in court, but without a judge, only a witness. I did not call them. I did not answer. They came themselves. Not out of love. And not out of fear. Out of necessity. Because everything that surrounded them began to crumble. And each of them intuitively felt that the source of destruction was somewhere nearby. In the silence. In me. They talk. They get confused in their words. They interrupt each other. They look for an explanation. And I am silent. I simply look. And for the first time in many years they cannot stand my gaze. I see it. Reflected in the pupils. Their shame. Their confusion. The feeling that the world they considered theirs has shaken slightly. I do not apologize. I do not ask, "Why did you leave me?" I no longer expect answers. Because the truth is that the answer lies within themselves. Their indifference was a choice. Like my silence. Like my action. The grandson looks at me and for the first time doesn't laugh. The granddaughter nervously twists the ring on her finger. The daughter holds her head proudly, but her fingers tremble. The son looks at the floor. This is not a victory. Not a scene of triumph. I am not a god. Not a punishment. Not a demon. I am simply a reminder. To them. And to myself. A reminder that old age is not the end. This is a transition into the form that society fears most, into the form of someone who sees everything. Because with age, the illusion disappears. The truth remains. And the truth is a ruthless thing. I get up. Slowly. Without words. I go to the kitchen, put the kettle on. Not out of courtesy, out of ritual. When I return, they no longer speak. They only listen. Even in silence. My last entry in the notebook reads, "I didn't take revenge. I opened their eyes. Old age is not weakness. It's a time when you no longer have to prove anything. Because you already know who you are. And who they are. This is not the end. But it's not the beginning either. This is balance. Real. Deep. Unforgivable. And without shouting. Simply presence. Like a shadow that no longer hides. Because old age is not the end. It's a stage of strength that everyone fears, because it sees everything.